Okay, guys, we're gonna get ready and get started in just a second. So I'm gonna make sure that everybody has this ready to go. Not sure why it would say 12 hours. It says tomorrow, so let's change the date. It's right now. It's going on right now. So it's today. So I hope that you guys are hopping on. I can't see if anyone's hopping on. Oh, good, 12 people. Okay, yay, I didn't screw it up, yay. I'm gonna wait a couple seconds to let you guys jump on. I was so worried that I had like too many windows open or, you know, all that stuff that you worry about when you're hosting a live event. So, give you one more minute. 14 whole people. 14 people. I'm gonna make sure everybody has the right link. Okay. I'm gonna get my slides ready and get going. Since it's recording, you guys can always catch up and look back. So I had the opportunity to speak at 2 leadership retreats this past week, and sorry, it's about to storm here, and so no amount of light is really gonna help me. I'm natural, so I have my big light on me. It was amazing. So you always prepare something and you write out notes and you think you're coming with, you know, what the speaker or what the host wanted you to come with. But I was very open and I just said, look, I have some notes, but I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. So it's pretty much what happened. I've tried to assemble it for you guys because the feedback I got was just so great, so humbling. That I thought, wow, you know, I'm gonna have the courage and the vulnerability to share with our teams. So I hope that this speaks to you. I hope you get something from it. And I'm gonna be able to kind of be a little raw because I can't see your faces. So that's kind of the beauty of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and screen share and get started. And just bear with me, okay? All right, so I need to hide that, but I don't have a mouse, so there you go. All right, I was recently at our Super Saturday event, you know, the most recent one we had at the beginning of April, and one of the speakers, Carmel Daly, talked about Brene Brown's The Power of Vulnerability, and, you know, it's only one of those things you can get on Audible. You cannot get it on a hard copy, and so the next week, I hosted our team retreat, and I was just really full after having all those amazing ladies here. And after they left, I started listening to this book, and I listened to the first 30 chapters without stopping. I was mowing my yard and just kind of nodding and, you know, out loud saying, yes, wow, that's so good, and agreeing with her and really getting a lot out of this book. And so kind of using Brene and a lot of what she talks about in this book as kind of the foundation for this talk. And so what I love is that she talks about vulnerability and how it leads to creativity and courage, or how creativity and courage and growth come from vulnerability, you know, a couple ways to say that. And, you know, if you just say that without really diving into it, it doesn't really have the depth or the meaning. And so we're gonna take some time and really dive into that. So vulnerability is linked with courage. It's also linked with creativity. You know what? It takes vulnerability to do all these things and be okay with criticism. That's super hard. So think about courage. That starts with showing up. That's really hard when we are here on this flat screen and we're supposed to share our stories and we're supposed to have courage and we're supposed to be real and we're supposed to present, our real self. And that opens us up for criticism. It opens us up to be seen. And if we're not ready to do that, it's really hard. And so, I want to just talk about the fact how if someone else, and I just want to lay it out here right now, if someone else acts how someone else acts or what they say has nothing to do with you. And I know for the longest time, I really took everything personally, a critical comment or an opinion or someone wanting to just give their 2 cents, some information. And I thought, well, why are they, coming in on my post? And why are they sharing on my thing? I don't do that to them. It has nothing to do with me. That has, everything to do with that person just wanting to share their own insecurities, whatever. So really think about that. It's terrifying to put yourself out there and not knowing what someone else will say or do, right? But really, that's not up to you. It has nothing to do with you. And how someone else reacts isn't of any importance to you. This job, this opportunity is about fulfilling your passion and sharing this opportunity. That should be your focus. So your focus is, who am I going to reach? Who am I going to impact today? Who am I going to help? And so I would say it might take you a while. And it might not be very easy to be open with people. I share the story that I didn't start a life page until I was a coach for about 3 to 4 months. I was already a 1-star diamond, and I started my page, and I really didn't share anything of me. I shared a bunch of quotes, and we would say they were Pinterest quotes or Pinterest everything. It had nothing to do with me. And the page started growing, and that's great. I felt really fake. Here I am, a part of this company where we talk about fitness and we talk about nutrition, and I am probably one of the least healthy people I know. Might look healthy, but the way I was treating my body was hurting it. And I was dealing with that and really struggling with that to be real with people. A little bit about me. When I was 15, I decided that meat was evil and that I needed to cut everything that was meat out of my diet. I just don't like meat. I don't like the texture. I don't like the taste. My body doesn't digest it very well. And so I decided I'm just going to eliminate it. But I also took out all fats. I mean, all fats. I didn't understand healthy fats or bad fats. I just knew that if it had any fat in it, it was bad in my 15-year-old, really, really smart brain. So I bought a book called The Fat Book, a thick paperback book, literally called The Fat Book. And I memorized the fat and caloric intake of just the foods that I liked. The vegetables were pretty free. There were a couple of things I ate, only the serving sizes. And I'll just say that my 15-year-old self went from a size 14, 16, I kind of teeter-tottered, down to a size 0 in 7 months. I started this when I was in the summer of my sophomore year, and by my birthday in March, I had lost close to 50 to 60 pounds. It was shocking. To say that people noticed is an understatement. And it was so thrilling to receive attention. We're talking about a teenage girl, right? Okay, so go back there with me, ladies, if you can remember what that might have been like to receive attention and just not to be teased anymore, not to be excluded. And I was really involved in my youth group, and I had some good friends, but I just really wasn't accepted. I just didn't have a place. And now, the adult me gets it. The adult me understands. I'm good. I'm okay. And so I lost all this weight, and all of a sudden, boys started, taking notice, and girls weren't so mean. And so I found validation. I found encouragement. I found value in a size and a number. And so I kept going, and it became an obsession, and it became very, very scary, and it became very, very deadly. And I mean, to the point where my parents took me to an eating disorder clinic under the umbrella of a shopping trip. with letters from friends saying they're scared. It was an intervention. It really was. And this is something that I haven't really shared. And so, this is the real raw me. So I knew I hadn't just shared that on my page. I knew I hadn't been real with people. I knew I hadn't opened up that box, that very closed and sealed portion of myself. So when I did, it was scary. And I know you guys have been there with me. How many of you sit there and you hover over a scary reel post for like 10 minutes because you're just too scared to share? Like, you cannot press that button because then it's out. You can delete it, by the way, but it's out there. You're ripping that Band-Aid off. That was me. I was like, oh my gosh, people are they're gonna reject me. They're gonna have such horrible things to say to me. It was the complete opposite, you guys. By being real and authentic, guess what? I let people know I wasn't perfect and I didn't have it all together, which, you guys, perfection is a rainbow-colored unicorn. It doesn't exist. So that was so freeing for me, and it opened up more conversations, more interactions, and people were reaching out. And it allowed me to let go of that part of myself that I saw as so ugly and so dirty. So here's something I want you guys to think about as you're presenting your real and authentic selves. Have courage. Have courage to do that because you're going to reach somebody. When another person makes you suffer, it is because he or she suffers so deeply within himself or herself, and his or her suffering is spilling over. He does not need punishment. He needs help. And so I just have to think about it this way. Brittany Leggett-Schumart said the funniest thing, and it's true. You need some PD. And with as much love as you can muster, if you guys are not engaging in personal development, then you really need to right now, because it's really going to be difficult for you to be engaged as a Beachbody coach or in business or, where you invest in others without filling yourself up. It really is. And I will say that those coaches or those individuals who are consistently, thinking that everyone's out to get them or life is coming down on them or so-and-so is being mean, they're not really investing in personal development, or they're not investing in the right personal development. And so this is something that, I've had to really come to grips with, and I've had to open myself up to more different kinds of personal development that are harder for me. Like, I need to get deeper. I need to get more real with myself. And so this Brené Brown was exactly what I needed at the perfect time. And so I'm not saying that you only need to go out and you need to get Audible. I mean, you kind of do, but I think that this is a great book when it talks about the power of vulnerability and how, honestly, being your real authentic self and sharing that is courage. She talked about, think about it this way. You're a part of a company, and you've been asked as the most junior member of the team to create something completely brand new, to go out there and put yourself out there. And guess what? You get to present it to the entire board in a live meeting with the CEO of the company. Your creativity, everything you have just put your heart into, is going to be on display. That takes courage. That takes vulnerability. And you guys, we do that all the time with trying out new social media techniques, trying out new ads, trying out new challenge groups, putting ourselves out there to invite people and putting ourselves out there to share our story and show what we and others have been able to accomplish through this amazing opportunity. So how many of you have had people thank you for sharing? Show of hands. Haha. I'm sure all of us. And I will say that that one message is enough to fill my cup for quite a while. So think about this. When you're scared or when you're paralyzed and you're unable to be vulnerable and you're unable to be your real self, and you slap another, random quote up there thinking, this is good for today. This is good. I need to hear this. Someone's going to need to hear this. What if you hadn't taken the time to share? And is that one person worth dealing with the one negative Nelly? I don't know what I was trying to say there. I'm trying to say, is that one person worth dealing with, the one negative Nelly, in order to get to that one who is thanking you for sharing? Doesn't it look like this? Immediate joy. Like you have, and I'm drinking coffee right now, so this was appropriate, but I just think of it as like dumping water into a bucket and it's splashing out. It's like immediate fulfillment, immediate overflowing. That can last for a week. It can last for a few weeks. That one high is enough to fill my cup. And it's worth going through the negative Nellies and the stinky Susans, I'm just making up names now, in order to hear that one, gosh, you know what? Your message meant more to me than anything I've heard in a really long time, and thank you for being so open and real. Wow, that is powerful stuff. So, I've got to relate it back to Beachbody, right? So as we're talking about vulnerability and we're talking about creativity and we're talking about courage, did you know that there's an 80% income increase with coaches who achieve Success Club consistently? Now, what does that have to do with anything, right? All right, keep going. Did you know that those who achieve Success Club are growing faster? Those coaches who are hitting Success Club are consistently growing faster, or just growing, not even faster, just growing. That's pretty cool. You know what those coaches are doing? They're being vulnerable. They're being courageous. They are taking time to invest in their team, to duplicate their efforts. They're taking time to talk to their team and invest quality time. They're reaching out and saying, I'm available. They're also finding out, their coaches and their team's love languages. So if you guys do this, like the color code or the love languages in your new coach welcome, that's not just fluff. That is really to understand your coaches and how they show love. So it's hard. How do you incentivize or help someone who is a pearl? A pearl is someone who is so focused on giving and causes, and they're not looking at the shiny stuff. They're not looking at a bunch of recognition. They are, I think of people who are pearls and they are trying to build houses in Haiti, and they are giving back to organizations like the SPCA, and they want to give all their money away, and that is awesome. So you have to find ways to incentivize a pearl. Now, someone who's an emerald, or someone who's a ruby, or someone who's a sapphire, maybe gifts and shiny things and opportunities and parties and events, times to be together, quality time. You have to think about the big picture here and appeal to your whole team in these different things. As we get deeper into our teams, it's all about relationships. And so, you have to understand who needs a softer touch and who needs a little bit of tough love. But in the end, remind your team that no one person makes your team great. You all work together. And I was pretty proud of myself because I came up with this and I thought it was really pretty. So a strand of lights can only shine if all the bulbs are plugged into the source. And how many of us get our Christmas lights out at Christmas time and the dang thing won't work, and you find out that one teeny twinkle light makes me think of Clark Griswold. Got to check all the twinkle lights. How many thousands did he have on that house? And he had to check every single bulb because he was so concerned that they weren't all lighting up. There can be someone who isn't plugged in, and it affects the whole team. We all help one another. We all affect one another. And you know what? That takes having courage to invest in each other. That takes having vulnerability to get to know people. That takes growth. It takes getting out there and developing relationships. This is hard. This goes back to, sharing. This goes back to getting to know people and loving ourselves through the process. I love this quote by Brene Brown. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. We don't all have, Hallmark stories, or it's not a Little House on the Prairie, if you watched that growing up. Some of us has tough stuff. And we have to come to the place where, we're okay with sharing that and knowing that not everybody is going to, it's not going to resonate with everybody. That's okay. It really is okay. And the thing that I want you to know is I want you to lose followers. I want people to not follow you. In fact, I've been working on the Jesse Reagan training and, restructuring a couple things, doing a little bit more live videos and just sharing my heart and sticking with some topics that are a little bit more tough, but real. And it's funny because my, surfacey likes have stopped and I've lost people. And, the old me before PD would be like, oh man, they don't like me. Oh my gosh, I need to change something. I'm not changing a dang thing. I'm gonna keep being me and I'm gonna keep sharing that because I want to reach people who want to hear this. I want to reach people to whom my story will, evoke emotion and something that will resonate with them. If you're afraid of losing people, you don't need them. If you cannot turn to the people closest to you and be you and have them accept you unapologetically, then you need to find new people. I think that's really cool that, we've been brought to these places where we've attracted other people to our teams, people like us, maybe not all like us. We were joking. The leaders on my team, they're very unique, very different. We all have commonalities and we all get along, but we talk that we're kind of like all my personalities. How did all these people come to me? Through relationships, through pasts, through something I shared. No clue. I have to say it's God. And I put something out there and he led them to this team. And it makes up this perfect little melting pot of awesomeness. And I can turn to all of them and be real and know that maybe they don't agree with me, but they respect it. They respect what I'm saying and they understand that, I feel this way for whatever reason and they love me because of it. And that's this quote. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. So never, ever, ever think that you have to change your story to make somebody else happy. Never think that you have to change in order to reach certain people. The people who are going to work with you and are going to be the best people for your team are the people who are going to love you through that process. So here's what you say to them. Bye, Felicia. If they are not there to support you, if they are not there to understand, if they're not there to work, if they're not there to put in just as much effort as you are, bye, Felicia. So what's the greater risk here? This is a hard quote. Think about it. What's the greater risk? Letting go of what people think or letting go of how I feel, what I believe, and who I am? And so I know I did all those things. I let go of how I felt, what I believed, and who I was, just in order to make other people happy. Because I was so concerned with what are they going to think of me? What is their opinion of me? I was checking with people. Are you okay? Are you mad at me? Very insecure. And I wouldn't say that, I've got it all together. Not at all. But I am finding, a stronger me. And it's taken personal development. So you need some PD, Lauren. So I think we all know the answer to this one, right? If we're being honest. But there's another quote that really stuck with me. Let go of who you think you should be in order to be who you are. You're you. This is your story. And that is the power of your story. You're not trying to be somebody else. You're not trying to copycat somebody else. You're not trying to compare yourself to somebody else. You're trying to be the best you possibly can be. And that's what we do every day on our pages, in our conversations, in our relationships. The last couple months have been pretty hard at our house. And I'm a member of a tennis team here, and I could be all fake and sunshiny and go play tennis and tell everybody everything's okay, and that would just be fake. That wouldn't be real. And so, I've had to just it's just not a good day, but that's okay. It's going to get better. We're working through it, and we're going to find our rhythm, and it's okay. It's okay to be who you are and not try to be somebody else or try to be who others think you should be. I'm really on a tangent with the quotes, aren't I? You want to reach people and attract people like you who resonate with your story, right? And you want people who are empowered and championed by what you have to share. Championed means encouraged, you are there cheering for them. not people who are going to pick you apart or make you feel like you have to change. So nothing has transformed my life more than realizing that it's a waste of time to evaluate my worthiness by weighing the reaction of the people in the stands. This is from that speech in the Man in the Arena, talking about how those people in the stands who are pointing and cheering and critiquing and criticizing, they mean nothing because they're not in the arena. They're not the ones actually getting dirty. They're not the ones putting in the effort and the time and the training and the education. They aren't. So unless you are equally yoked with someone who is working just as hard as you, don't listen to those people standing on the sidelines just pointing and criticizing. This extends to Success Club. Do you like what I did there? To growth, to courage, to creativity. It's all vulnerability. So when you're getting out there and you're inviting people, don't cower. Don't be afraid of what they might say or might not say. Be a strong leader. Communicate success to your team. Share expectations with not only your challenge groups, but with your team and your coaches. A brand new coach has every right to hear, I expect you to show up. I expect you to do the most with this opportunity. I do not expect you to wait for me to do this for you. I'm going to give you the tools, and then I'm going to let you make the most of this. Because if I drag you, I am not doing you any favors, and I am wasting energy. You have to want this for you. So, I wanted to see. This is the last slide that I had, but it was like the whole wrapping it up, if you will. Vulnerability is not weakness. Being vulnerable and being open and maybe being a little emotional is not weakness. That myth is profoundly dangerous. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. And like I said before, you cannot create something new without first being vulnerable. You cannot do something without first being willing to fail. And that's really putting your vulnerability out there. So I'm going to show you my face. I'm going to allow you to see something because it was funny. I finished this talk, I was just jazzed up last Friday, and I had been with an incredible team, and I came home. And, I was still on this like huge high of, oh, that was amazing. That was awesome. That was so fulfilling. And I got this message from this gentleman, and usually I don't work with gentlemen. And he was asking, what is this you're sharing about? Because I made a video about, being a coach and our team and how awesome it was and how fulfilling and how, my life had forever changed. I was healthier, all those things about coaching. And he wanted to know more, but it was getting kind of late. And so he said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But he didn't go before sharing that he lost his wife, that he was a father, that he had had a huge weight loss transformation of his own, that he was a triathlete, like all these things about himself. And I was just intrigued, like this guy sounded amazing. And so he lived up in Canada. And so the next day he said, okay, I'm ready. Share more with me. And so I sent him more about Beachbody, some personal videos that I made. And he goes, what's the shake? What is that? And I said, oh, and I started telling him about Shakeology and the ingredients. He goes, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself taking advantage of people. You should be ashamed of yourself trying to sell a weight loss shake. And I was like, you don't understand. And he did not want to hear anything. He did not want to be open. He didn't care one bit about anything I had to say. He just wanted to hammer me. He didn't wait for me to answer his questions. He didn't really want my answers. This very kind, very caring gentleman from the night before had turned into this monster. And it was very interesting because it happened right after I'd just been having this talk about putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, and presenting your real authentic self and not caring what others say. And then here it was right in my face. And I really haven't had that many negative Nellies because not many people can argue with your story, right? So he wanted me to literally take him from the field to where Shakeology was produced and every step of the journey. And I did the best I could, but I couldn't take him there. And he started saying, you've never even seen it. You've never even been there. You're just an idiot doesn't even know what she's sharing. Wow. How much that was just unhappiness. Like, to treat somebody that way was really sad. And so I said, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you listening to me. You came to me with questions and I've done my best to answer them for you, but I don't need you to speak to me this way. I know exactly what Shakeology has done for me and countless others, and I could take you through every ingredient if you would give me the time, but you have no desire to do that. And so, bye, Felicia. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, stand up for yourself, own your story, be very, very confident in what you want to share with people, and do not compromise yourself for any one person or group, anything. So I hope that this, I kind of went fast. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to take like an hour, but I hope that this meant something to you. I hope that you will continue to be vulnerable and be courageous and be creative and have those conversations with people who interact and resonate with your story, and never for 1 second compromise who you are because you think you have to be somebody else. Have a great day, guys.